Welcome to Modulate. Automobiles. Oh yeah, that's a huge proportion of our budget. Not just the car, but the gasoline, the oil, okay, the maintenance, the tires, all that, plus the insurance. Okay, so this thing really adds up. Now, remember when I reviewed this text before it came onto the market, I was really unhappy, and I let them know they were giving examples. I mean, this book is obviously it's written. Anybody can get a lot out of it. Okay, but the focus seems to be younger college students. And like I say, those of you who are not quite as young as others, I hope are getting a lot out of this too. I'm using it with that assumption. I mean, the principles still apply to everybody. It's just that some of the examples and the interviews and that sort of thing are obviously young college students. And yet they were using these huge numbers in their examples for buying cars. And I said, the college students, well, nobody really, but especially young college students, have no business even looking at cars that expensive. In fact, most people have no business buying a new car. I mean, yeah, there's a famous paper by economist George Akerlof called "The Market for Lemons." Came out in 1970, and he pointed out because of asymmetric information, that means the both sides have different information. They aren't don't have the information is not symmetric. That it's impossible really to get a good deal on a used car. Why? Because the seller knows more about the car than the buyer. And therefore, if it was a good car, it wouldn't be on the market. So there has to be something wrong with the car to be on the market for the most part. Okay, obviously there are other reasons to sell cars. Maybe you just need the money. Maybe, there's a lot of, that kind of thing. But overall, if the car was on the market, it was assumed to be a lemon because why else would anybody want to sell it? Today, that's largely not necessarily the case. The information is much more symmetric. That is, the buyer knows quite a bit about the car. You get on the websites and get a report, and it talks about that here in the chapter. And you can know quite a bit about the car. You can know if it was ever in a wreck. You can know if it was a lot of times oil change information. How many owners? There's quite a bit of information, and cars just are better now. Um, it's a lot harder to screw up a car than it used to be. All right. I just recently bought. I got a pretty good deal on a minivan. I bought it from Avis Rental Car. Now, true, you don't know. I mean, they obviously never rotated the tires, but yeah, it was a little bit risky. It has a lot of drivers, and some aren't as careful as others. But I was willing to bet, and I've had it for now a couple of months, and I think I won the bet. I mean, it's a good car. It had about 31,000 miles on it, and you know, uh, I think I got a pretty good buy actually. So a lot of cars out there like that. Now some say those are the worst cars to buy. Yeah, whatever. I think my bet, because I've rented quite a few cars, traveling and stuff. Boy, I was always a lot more careful with the rental car. I didn't want to get dinged with an extra fee. So anyway, I've seen both sides of the argument, and I bought it, and I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, I went off on a tangent there a little bit, didn't I? So Yes, today the information is much more symmetric than it was when Akerlof's paper, The Market for Lemons, came out in 1970. So really, uh, I don't like the numbers. They toned it down a little bit, but the numbers they use imply, and this was my argument, it imply normality. And no, it's not normal. It's not normal for certainly college students to be buying cars that expensive, let alone new ones. Uh, anyway. Okay. I've calmed down. I've calmed down. Now, yeah, in this module, we've got our fourth discussion and lectures. Well, it's in a lecture. It's not really a lecture. We call them lectures, or I do, because they tell us in our online classes we're supposed to have lectures. So I put them in the lecture folder whether they're a lecture or not. Hey, this is really interesting. Think you're frugal? Check out these superstars. Okay. Wow. These guys, this is a PBS news story, Paul Solomon, and these people work like crazy and save most of what they earn, and then they retire in their 30s. And anyway, I'm not sure I would ever do that because I think work's a good thing. I think work keeps you out of trouble. Okay, the last thing you want to do is retire to your lazy boy and click through the channels. Uh, that's a horrible existence. Anyway, more about that when we get to retirement. So anyway, watch that. Very interesting. Okay, that's it for Module 8. What are we on? Module 8. I'll see you next time for Module 9.